The town of Bramble Hollow sat quietly amidst rolling hills, its cobblestone streets winding around modest homes. It was a place of warmth and charm, yet hidden behind its picturesque facade lay stories that few dared to uncover. Among these was the plight of a group of orphan children living on the edge of society, bound together by hardship, resilience, and an unbreakable will to survive. 12-year-old Emma had always been the anchor for her younger siblings, Jack and Lily, since the tragic day their parents died in a car accident. That fateful event had left them not only heartbroken, but also without a roof over their heads. Unable to bear the judgmental glances of relatives unwilling to take them in, they found refuge in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Bramble Hollow. The warehouse was far from ideal. Its roof leaked when it rained, and the winter winds pierced through its broken windows. Yet, to Emma, it was the only place where she could keep her family together. Each morning, Emma would rise early to scavenge for food or odd jobs. Jack, a spirited 9-year-old, would keep an eye on 6-year-old Lily, whose innocent laughter often broke the grim silence of their days. Despite their struggles, Emma instilled in them a sense of hope. "Someday, we'll have a real home," she would whisper, wrapping a thin blanket around them on cold nights. Surviving in Bramble Hollow was no easy feat. The townsfolk were kind but cautious, hesitant to take on the burden of 3 orphans. Emma had learned to navigate their world carefully, offering to sweep shop floors or carry groceries in exchange for a loaf of bread or a few coins. One evening, as they huddled together in the warehouse, a storm raged outside. Rain seeped through the cracks, and thunder echoed like a distant growl. Lily whimpered, clutching a tattered stuffed bear that had once belonged to their mother. "We can't keep living like this," Jack said, his voice trembling. "There has to be a way out." Emma nodded, her heart heavy with guilt for their suffering. "We'll find one," she promised, though she had no idea how. The children walking through the town square, soaked and shivering. The turning point came when Emma met Mrs. Harper, the elderly librarian who managed the town's small library. One rainy afternoon, Emma had sought shelter in the library, her siblings in tow. Mrs. Harper noticed their ragged clothes and thin frames, but spoke to them with a kindness that Emma hadn't felt in years. "Books are a wonderful escape," Mrs. Harper said, handing Emma a worn copy of The Secret Garden. "They can take you places you've never been and teach you things you never imagined." Emma devoured the book by candlelight that night, inspired by the story of transformation and resilience. It ignited a spark within her. Over the next weeks, Emma began visiting the library regularly, learning everything she could about survival skills, earning money, and community resources. Mrs. Harper noticed her determination and quietly began leaving sandwiches and warm drinks for the children. One day, Mrs. Harper handed Emma a flyer for a community program that provided scholarships to underprivileged children. "It's a long shot," she said, "but sometimes, all you need is a chance." Emma knew this could be their ticket to a better life, but applying required documents they didn't have. With Mrs. Harper's help, Emma tracked down a social worker who agreed to help them. The process was grueling. Emma had to face her fears, revisiting painful memories to prove their need for assistance. There were moments of despair when it seemed like the system would fail them, just as it had so many others. One particularly difficult day, Emma returned to the warehouse to find Lily crying. Her bear had been torn apart by a stray dog that wandered into their shelter. Jack tried to comfort her, but his own frustration was evident. "Why does everything bad happen to us?" he burst out. Emma knelt before him, tears in her own eyes. "Because we are strong enough to handle it," she said. "And because we have each other." Mrs. Harper offering Emma words of encouragement over tea, the siblings peeking into a school playground, longing to join the children playing. The siblings hugging, tears streaming down their faces after hearing the good news. Weeks turned into months, and just as Emma began to lose hope, they received a letter from the community program. The children had been granted scholarships to attend school, along with temporary housing. It was a lifeline they had desperately needed. The move to their new home was bittersweet. The warehouse had been their shelter through the darkest times, and leaving it behind felt like saying goodbye to a part of themselves. Yet, as they stepped into their modest apartment, with clean beds and running water, they felt a sense of relief they hadn't known in years. 6-year-old Lily touching the clean bed sheets for the first time, her eyes wide with wonder, Jack struggling to write his name as the teacher encourages him, Lily shyly holding back while other children invite her to play. Emma's determined face as she takes on a part-time job cleaning at a diner, Emma balancing school, work, and helping her siblings with homework. Mrs. Harper telling Emma, "You've come so far, and you can go even further." Jack discovering his talent for drawing, his face lighting up with pride, Lily holding hands with new friends, smiling for the first time in months, Emma looking at a mentorship program flyer with renewed hope. Emma shaking hands with a businesswoman who agrees to guide her, the family growing closer, laughing over a modest dinner, and building new memories. A grown-up Emma standing behind a podium, addressing the crowd. Jack and Lily, now teenagers, beaming with pride from the front row. Key moments of their struggle, interwoven with their triumphs. Emma and Mrs. Harper hugging after the speech, both teary-eyed, Jack presenting his drawings to a group of admiring onlookers. Lily mentoring a younger child, just as Emma mentored her. Emma working at her social worker's desk, a photo of her siblings beside her. The siblings returning to the warehouse, now in better clothes, to reflect on their journey. The 3 siblings standing side by side, looking at the sunset, symbolizing their hope. Emma helping other orphan children, echoing her own story. Emma standing in the rain, clutching the scholarship flyer, her face filled with determination. Lily smiling as she swings high on a swing set, free of her earlier burdens. Emma jogging through the town, ready to face a new day with optimism. A young girl receiving a book from Emma, mirroring Emma's earlier moment with Mrs. Harper. Jack sketching the town square, capturing its beauty. The siblings volunteering at a fundraiser for underprivileged children. The apartment filled with laughter as the siblings celebrate Emma's college graduation. Lily placing her repaired stuffed bear on a shelf, a reminder of their past. Emma narrating their story as the camera pans to the siblings, now thriving. The family walking hand in hand into the distance, the sun setting behind them.